Here's my last update on all the folks I got to talk with at PAXU in Philadelphia this past weekend. And take a watch and see all the cool products these folks are coming out with. And if you have a chance, go visit their websites.
Hi, I'm Eric Slauson. I'm the designer of Monstrosity here at Deepwater Games. Monstrosity is a drawing party game where you are basically alien sketch artists. One person has seen an alien. They're going to memorize this alien for 20 seconds, everything that they can memorize, put it face down, describe it to everybody else for 2 minutes who's drawing in real time. At the end of the 2 minutes, you kind of turn around your wanted poster and see who got the closest to the original alien. Great for all ages, kids love it. Great for classrooms, teens, parties, work, great game. Sometimes it's really just about listening, not giving the most detail, but getting the vibe of the monster. So yeah, a lot of people who can't draw say this is their favorite drawing game because a lot of times they get picked over the artist because they were actually listening better. You can get it here at the con, you can get it online. We also have a Target exclusive version that's in a brown box with completely different monsters. So Monstrosity all over the world. At the con it's 25, Target exclusive version is 20. Online varies depending on sales, but yeah, 25, 20 depending on the version.
I'm Mike from Mage Press.
All right, cool. And we're showing off Dark Matter. Can you explain this game?
Yeah, Dark Matter is a book that sits on top of the 5e rules and makes it sci-fi.
Okay.
You don't have to learn a new system. It's not even like 5e adjacent. It is just 5e. So you're going to play your regular wizards, your regular barbarians. We give you one new class and a bunch of new races, and a lot of subclasses and feats and spells and ship combat, so that you can really get into science fiction as a setting without learning a new system. And the thing about Spelljammer, nothing against it, I actually love that setting, but it's not sci-fi enough. It doesn't feel like sci-fi. It doesn't have starships and blasters and androids and radioactive oozes and weird fungal orcs that definitely aren't from 40K. This is a hodgepodge of sci-fi influences that you can dabble in or go all in. You can take it and do other settings if you want to. Some people do neo-noir conspiracies. Some people are doing Firefly. Some people are doing 40K, all using this because it is this huge pile of options. Originally, it was going to be no setting whatsoever, but to some extent I need to start grounding what was here. So the idea that you can still play a wizard means spells are still around, so I need to justify that. So magic, all the technology in the verse is very advanced magic. It's magic that has been refined and mass-produced. So a blaster is based on evocation technology. A ship is using levitation stuff. And this isn't too crazy if you've played something like Eberron, where they kind of use the same premise but in a very different genre.
Right.
And for the most part, you don't have to acknowledge that. It's not that different from the way a starship would work in any other sci-fi setting. And yeah, it's really open to kind of however you want to embrace it. And that's important to me, because I wanted to make something that, because DMs are going to make their own of it regardless, so I should give them a tool set that optimizes. So the blasters are actually meticulously, I love talking about the blasters. Everything is meticulously balanced against core, everything. So you can literally just run it, like you can play a Dark Matter character that never carries a blaster and you will do fine. Blasters actually roll 2 dice of damage, but don't add an ability modifier to damage. So this is a small change, and you'll probably like shrug your head and go, okay, yeah, whatever. But the texture is so different. You can hit somebody and roll 2 1s. You winged them. If you roll a crit, it's 4 dice of damage, 4 d6s or 4 d8s. And it's huge because you scored a headshot, right? I didn't like encode that into the rules, it just happened. And as a designer, it's really, really beautiful to watch something like have this alchemy of fun kind of evolve around it. And you didn't actually put in that much effort. You like created a thing, and then it just really changes the texture of what you're doing. And it's still 5e, like it still feels exactly like 5e, but that sort of extra texture makes the blasters feel imprecise. You feel like stormtroopers. You feel like you're in these like messy hallway fights, and your shots are ricocheting all around everywhere. And it's not a huge change. It's not mechanically dense. This is $50. You can find it on magehandpress.com.
Hi, I'm Brandon Ayton. I'm the business director and system designer for Plus One at Wet Ink Games. So Never Going Home, it's eldritch horror in the trenches of World War I. During the Battle of the Somme, something happened which thinned the veil between our world and the world of the others. And so now people are starting to hear whispers promising power in exchange to do certain tasks. It's kind of problematic when you don't know where your orders are coming from in that military structure. It uses standard 6-sided dice and standard playing cards. In all of the +1 games, so we have a number of games that use that +1 system, the dice mechanics always stay the same. However, cards represent different things in different games. So in Never Going Home, the cards represent your humanity. So you are, as you're going through the game, you're trying to get target numbers, so like 2 of successes. On a 6-sided die, a success is a 5 or a 6. You build that dice pool, you start building that with how skilled you are. So if I'm doing an athletics check to lift a tractor off of my buddy, and maybe I have 2 dice in athletics, I can potentially get 2 successes on 2 dice, but I want to manipulate that roll. So I will use my associated stat, my brawn, and that tells me how many times I can manipulate those 2 dice, either adding dice to my dice pool, potential re-rolls, modifying like a 4 to a 5, like adding pips to a die after the roll, things like that. So you build your dice pool for every roll, and then you can manipulate it however you want, trying to get those successes or potentially more when you're looking at weapons and magic and things like that. More successes tend to mean a bigger spell effect, or we have other things that can be done on weapons. Your cards at that point can come in, because you can discard those cards which represent your humanity to get extra things, an extra +1 effect. So I'm going to add a die, or I'm going to get a reroll. And you narrate what you lose throughout the game. So for that example, I need the extra bit of strength, that supernatural strength to lift the tractor off of my buddy before the zombies get here. But now I no longer remember my daughter's 2nd birthday. So as you go through each mission, as you go through the war, your character loses bits of their humanity and becomes more of an inhuman monster. You could say that the game was social commentary, yes?
It's really good. Now we have the artist over here.
Yes, all of the art in Never Going Home is done by Charles Ferguson Avery right here.
Very good. And so what did you do all the art with?
All the art with? For the most part, that is either a mix of acrylics, watercolor, pencil, and pen. Okay. There are a couple of those that are actual full-body paintings with like acrylic paints, sometimes oil paints. But for the most part, I use whatever it takes to get the job done.
Everything you need is in that $20 core book. That you can go rate a Yahtzee set, get your 6-sided dice you need to play, go to your grandma's house, and you can find a deck of cards in the junk drawer. We wanted the game to be super accessible to new players and old players alike.
My name is Chris Doyle. I am the director of 5E. So everything that we do from the 5E side of the company comes through me.
Tell me about the process of trying to reach out to these folks who worked on these modules so long ago.
It's all about really knowing people and actually going to conventions like this. We go to a convention called GaryCon, which is in Lake Geneva, and many of the old school content creators are there. So we've been going there for years and supporting that show. So that's how we generally get a lot of them, but we also have a lot of other contacts in the industry. And then we know other people that help us out and that help us hook up with people that are appropriate for the specific products. Most of the time when we reach out to folks to do an essay, they're usually all over it. They usually enjoy contributing to a product that's 40 years past.
So when you created your line, were you thinking that you were contributing to the history of the game?
Oh, definitely. There was a moment when I was converting OAR number 1 into the Borderlands where it all hit me what I was actually doing as I was kind of converting Gygax's own words to 5th edition, and the fact that a whole nother generation gets to experience the same games that I got to experience, especially my son, who one of the first games he played was when we were playtesting Keep on the Borderlands. So that part, yes, it got a little overwhelming for a while, but I got past it, and then I kind of moved on with just thinking about the whole legacy of the products and everything. The challenge was keeping the original voice, but bringing it and putting it in a package that the modern gamer could get to the game table. I do like to put Easter eggs in these. If you check some of them out, you'll see there's a fair amount of Easter eggs from the 80s culture, Princess Bride, There's a bunch of different things where you read something, you're like, oh, I remember that, because I just felt it was kind of cool to kind of do that, because these books came out in the early 80s, and it's kind of like, well, let's bring some 80s joy to it too, because everybody loves those throwbacks.
And you've been doing a lot with licensed things.
Yes.
Blade Runner and now your Tales of the Loop, Walking Dead. So what was kind of the link behind wanting to do these licensed products instead of creating more original stuff?
Well, we like to do a little bit of both. I mean, a lot of, I think that's good for long-term success. I mean, you want to put stuff that puts you on the map as far as, you know, popularity. Like once we picked up Alien kind of just, I don't want to toot our own horn, but it raised the awareness of customers in the market, and kind of people started paying attention to some of our other products. And with any licensed product, you're going to have peaks and valleys, because one year you're going to have this license, and the next year you're going to have this license. But I think having a good mixture of both, which is what we have some of our own creative, our own IPs that we created, and some of our own licensed stuff. Our own created IPs kind of get us through those peaks and valleys. Those will always generate sales, always be kind of our mainstays, and then we'll have those, you know, big releases like this year. We have Blade Runner coming that just came out. Right. We'll have big sales in that because it's the new hotness. Next year, hopefully Walking Dead is that. But we'll always have those IPs that we've created, those product lines that we own, to kind of just constantly get us through.
And what led you to Blade Runner? Because it's such an old IP, even though it did have Blade Runner 2099, but was it just an work of love that you wanted to do, or? Well,
a little bit of both. I mean, of course, they had the new movie that came out, and they were shopping the IP around. The gentleman that's in charge of that IP and licensing is also the same gentleman that came to us with Alien. And he said, hey, you know what, I also have the Blade Runner license. They're looking for an RPG. I'm a huge Blade Runner fan. I would love to write it for y'all. And so not only did he handle the licensing aspect for us and come to us with that, but he also wrote the book. It's Joe LaFavi. He's awesome. Love Joe. Joe, if you're seeing this, we love you. And he's done a great job with that. And it was just a match made in heaven. And we're like, oh yeah, let's do Alien, Blade Runner, and especially when it comes on board with someone that's really super passionate about the project, it's hard to say no, you know?
Yeah. And so when you're playing Blade Runner, are you playing a Blade Runner? Are you a replicant? What are you?
You can play both. So usually you're playing as a Blade Runner. Sometimes you're a replicant, a Blade Runner, sometimes you're not. But you're kind of investigating a case that you're given, and you're usually like up to 4 Blade Runners trying to like figure out weird things, the situation. And we've got a really great starter set that comes with a case file that takes place probably over 2 or 3 sessions, probably even more. Leads your Blade Runners through different scenes, and then at the end it's kind of open-ended, and so your Blade Runners can kind of make that moral choice as to how they want it to all end up.